So, when you think of Superman, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The cape? The S on his chest? Well, today we're going to look way beyond that. We're diving into the expanding universe of Superman, the family, the legacy, and most importantly, the humanity that has made him such an icon for over 80 years. And to really get Superman, we're not going to start with his powers. Nope, we're going to start right here, with a promise he made to his son. This quote from me is everything. It shows you that the core of the character isn't about physical strength, it's about his moral strength. It's all about the standard he sets, not just for other heroes, but for all of us. All right, so we're going to tackle this in a few layers, kind of like peeling an onion. And we're starting at the very core, the archetype. This is the Superman everyone thinks they know, the original blueprint for every superhero that came after. But as you're about to see, this is just where the story begins. You know the story, right? A baby rocketed from a dying world, found by a kind couple, and given incredible powers by our yellow sun. He's basically a living solar battery of unbelievable power. And yeah, that created the template for the modern hero. But his alien origins, that's only half the story. So now we get to the next layer. We're moving from the alien to the human. Because what if I told you the hero we call Superman wasn't really forged on Krypton? He was forged right here on Earth, in the heartland of America. And this is the whole key to the character. Before he was ever Superman, he was Clark Kent. Raised by Jonathan and Martha, he learned things like kindness, humility, and responsibility. All that incredible power is guided by this simple, totally down-to-earth moral compass. See, he's not a god trying to be human. He's a man, raised with the best of human values, who just happens to have the powers of a god. Big difference. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark isn't alone. The House of El didn't just end with him. His family on Earth has actually grown, and his legacy is now this living, breathing thing carried on by others who share that same Kryptonian heritage. And you've got two really different sides of the same coin here. On one side, you have Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. She's a survivor, through and through. She didn't just escape Krypton, she escaped the death of its last remnant, Argo City. Her whole story is about dealing with trauma. And on the other side, you have John Kent. He's the heir. Born on Earth, his challenge isn't surviving a catastrophe, it's surviving the pressure of inheriting the most famous cape in the universe. And John's journey to becoming Superman, oh man, it is some classic comic book weirdness. He becomes Superboy, right? Then he gets lost in space on a mission, and he gets trapped somewhere where time moves all wonky, so he ages years while only a few weeks pass on Earth. Think about that. He leaves as a kid and comes back a teenager. It's this super compressed, traumatic way to grow up, forcing him to find his own identity while living in his dad's giant shadow. Okay, let's zoom out again. We've talked about the man, we've talked about the family, now let's talk about the world he protects. It's centered on his adopted home, the amazing city of Metropolis, and all the incredible people who live there. See, Metropolis isn't just some random backdrop. It's the city of tomorrow. It's a symbol of that bright, optimistic future Superman is always fighting for. And his job as a reporter, that's not a disguise. It's how he stays connected, how he keeps his ear to the ground and remembers the everyday problems of the people he's sworn to protect. And you absolutely cannot talk about Superman's world without mentioning his pal Jimmy Olsen. And you gotta hear this. This is a fantastic piece of trivia. Because of all his crazy misadventures, Jimmy has temporarily gotten superpowers more times than you can possibly imagine. I'm serious. We're talking becoming Turtle Boy, changing his size, growing claws. He was even Elastic Lad for a while. It's just a perfect example of how wonderfully weird and fun Superman's world can be. Okay, time for the final circle, the biggest one of all. Let's zoom all the way out to our world. How in the world did a comic book character leap off the page and become one of the most recognizable symbols on the entire planet? Well, a huge piece of that puzzle is the movies, right? Think about it. Christopher Reeve, he was the one who made us all believe a man could fly, and he basically defined the modern blockbuster hero. Then you had Brandon Routh in a loving homage to that era. Henry Cavill gave us a darker, more complex reboot for a new century. And now David Cornsweet is about to kick off a whole new beginning. Each actor reinterprets the character, keeping him relevant for a whole new generation. So when you boil it all down, his biggest role in our culture is just being the archetype. He's not just a hero, he is the hero. He's the standard. He stands for truth, justice, and this unshakable belief in the good that's inside all of us.
And you know what idea is powerful when it starts to inspire its own evil twin, right? That's what characters like the terrifying Homelander are. They ask this really scary question: what if all that power wasn't guided by kindness? And by showing us that nightmare, they actually prove why Superman is so important. His goodness isn't just a character trait, it is the entire point of the character.
Which really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? After all this time, with thousands of new heroes, why does this character from 1938, this immigrant from a dead planet who was raised by farmers in Kansas, why does he still define the very idea of a hero? Maybe, maybe it's because he reminds us that the greatest power we have isn't flying or lifting mountains. It's the simple choice every day to be good. And that's an idea that will never get old.